Hey yo, how you doing? It's me again. Welcome to yet another gaming session here on the Direct Action Gaming channel. My name is Sean, and today we're starting yet another new chapter in our Wasteland adventures. We're going to be starting the Capital Wasteland scenario with the Wastelander character, as I said at the end of the last video where we finished off the Commonwealth. That's what we're going to be doing. But as usual, before we get too deep into the action, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some basic ways to support the channel if you are new here. There should be a few links in the description. The first is for my Ko-fi page. I do have a page on Ko-fi. That's Ko-fi. It's basically a dime store alternative to Patreon. So if you like what I do here and you want to throw me a few bucks to help support the channel, you can do so there. I need to update that page. It needs to look a little bit nicer. That would be cool. But beyond that, though, I am also on Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky. That's the other link. I have a Blue Sky account, and I post all sorts of pictures there, primarily of stuff that I'm working on for the channel, and again, primarily, that's mainly miniatures, such as this one that I've been painting up for the games that I want to feature on the channel here. So lots of pictures of minis there. Go check that out. There's always the freest and easiest ways to support the channel. You can like, comment, and or subscribe. Engagement with the video will help indicate to YouTube that that's a thing that you like. So not only will you start to see more things like that, maybe my stuff gets pushed out to other people that might also like it. Hooray, democratization. Anyway, all that stuff being said, let's get right into it. And would you believe it? I've discovered yesterday there are other things that I'd been doing very wrong. We've still been playing the game wrong, actually. Primarily, it's the encounters. I wasn't doing the encounters over here correctly. Now I did understand that you start with these two encounter decks, Wasteland and or Settlement. What I did not understand is when you do stuff and it says to add something rather than stage something, adding something from the card library is basically just adding a new encounter. And there is a way to go about doing that, right? So apparently you're supposed to take the thing that you're supposed to add from the card library, you check its back. So for example, this one has a vault symbol on it. That would mean this is a vault encounter. So if we're told to add this, even though we don't initially have vault encounters, we would plop this down there. And then you can only take from these encounter decks when you are in the correct place. You need to be at Megaton to do settlement encounters. You need to be at the mall to do wasteland encounters. And we need to find a vault before we can do vault encounters. And this is specifically Vault 84, right? So anyway, that's how encounters work. They get shuffled into encounter decks, and you won't immediately encounter them. You have to go to that place. And anyway, we'll get into that. We'll do encounters correctly this time. And shopping is a thing too. Apparently the shop works a little bit differently than I thought. The shop does start with 4 cards, but when you can shop, which you kind of have to do a settlement encounter to be able to shop, and the settlement encounter will tell you how many times you can shop. Apparently there are a limited amount of shopping actions you can do, and that's all dictated to you by the settlement encounter that you do. And also primarily like the level of settlement that you're at. So Megaton is a level 3 settlement. That kind of means something in relation to the encounters. And we also always add 1 card to the shop when we do shop. And if there are still 5 cards left over after shopping, we have to get rid of 1 of them. So that's another thing that we need to keep in mind. And one mistake that I also noticed last time is I used Psycho and I failed to take a endurance test to make sure I didn't get addicted to it. So that's another thing. Let's get into this adventure though. We are going to start the game now, and before we get started, we need to do a bit more setup to determine things about our character here. I'm going to draw 2 little chips here. I got a P and an L, so I get to choose. Yeah, we're going to start with perception here. That's our additional starting attribute. And we get an agenda card from the start too, so I'll draw the top one there, and we have security, which I don't like. I think I'm going to need to get rid of this one as soon as I can eventually. Primarily because I kind of think the way to go about this, especially when you're doing solo, a lot of these agenda cards revolve around like advancing a faction. We saw last game that I was able to win pretty much immediately once I had advanced the Institute faction forward 2 spaces, and I had 3 security cards, right? So it's going to be crucial to choose which faction we want to back early on, and I would like to back the Brotherhood of Steel, not the Enclave. Because from what I recall from Fallout 3, the Brotherhood of Steel was actually kind of the good guys in that one. They were just sort of trying to make sure the people of the Wasteland had access to clean drinking water, which is kind of dope. I kind of like that. I kind of want to be behind the clean water for everyone people. Thank you. That's what I would like to do. So anyway, that is our starting agenda card. We also have a tire iron as our starting weapon. During a fight, you may exhaust this card to generate 1 reroll. Okay. We can just do that. And I think what this means is we kind of have to exhaust it to generate a reroll. But I think if we have strength, we can just do a reroll by having this anyway, without having to exhaust it, which is a good thing to keep in mind, because potentially we could do 2 rerolls if I have strength and then exhaust it. Anywho, first thing we should do, we're going to read the first quest that has been staged. And again, staging is for quests. Adding is for encounters. So only the quests should be over here. Encounters are just in the encounter deck all the time, right? So, welcome to the Capital Wasteland. The mountains around you shake suddenly. Fire and rubble spew violently into the sky. Oh gosh, you know, I did forget something. Hold the phone. Oh, I always forget something. Let's set up that timer real quick. We want a half-hour timer for gameplay, so the video doesn't drag on for too long. Session will be half an hour. Back to the card. Welcome to the Capital Wasteland. The mountains around you shake suddenly. Fire and rubble spew violently into the sky. Eyes wide, you watch as a fleet of vertibirds scrambles from their peaks to clear the violent blasts. The straggler of the group begins to emit a trail of smoke as the rest disappear over the eastern horizon, then abruptly drops out of sight with a dull explosion that echoes up from the Capital Wasteland. Okay, so that is our first quest. And we can see that to help the Brotherhood, we just need to get to Megaton. So we're not going to the wreck, which is this quest marker over here. That's where the fallen vertebrate is. We get to ignore that, and we are heading for Megaton. So with that in mind, that being the first thing we need to do, we're going to spend our first action to explore this tile. Okay, we'll reveal that. It is the Raider camp, and we set up a Raider scum there. All right. All right, I think how we're going to start this is after the Explorer, I'll do a move, 1, 2, and I will be right here in the Raider camp with the Raider scum. So potentially we're going to start this scenario just like the last one, getting shot on the first turn pretty much, but we shall see. What does the agenda deck have for us? What activates? It says star and monster. Okay. So we move this star from the tower that represents a paladin, moves here. We have not technically allied with the Brotherhood yet, so they are currently hostile to us. So this one moves, and we move the Deathclaw one space closer to us as well, and that's pretty much it. We did not get shot. Cool. All right, so next turn. I think how I will start this, we're going to do two things. First, we are going to just start a fight with this Raider scum, because I would like to do an encounter here in the Raider camp, because maybe we can get some loot that way. Let's see. It would be nice to have a weapon, because as you recall, last time, our Vault Dweller, who ended up becoming a synth, actually won the game with just his fists. He conquered the wasteland with just his fists. A dog that was just a good boy and didn't really do anything, and also a pocket full of drugs. And we also I thought it was funny, I thought later on that we won the game kind of because drugs. Like, we literally did win because of the managing it agenda card that gave us that one extra point because you have a pocket full of drugs. So you heard it here first, kids. Drugs makes you a winner. Anyway, we're gonna fight this Raider scum. What happens? Weakness is torso and head. We do get 2 torsos, but if we use these, we would take 4 damage. Yes, we would. And we do need 2 hits to be able to take this guy down, because he does have armor. We need an additional point to take him out. He also is ranged, so he would get, I believe, an extra point of damage since I don't have a ranged weapon. That means we're taking 5 points of damage from the get-go. The only way to change this result would be to exhaust my tire iron already. I don't think I really want to do that just yet. So we're gonna take a decent amount of damage our first turn here. We're gonna take 5 points of damage. 1, 2, 3. Down to 11. Down to 11. Okay, but we do take out the Raider scum, which does mean we get 1 XP for that. And the Raider scum is gone now. So we're going to put him at the bottom of this token deck, and we're going to replace an inactive enemy there. And so that was that fight action. So for my next action, we're going to do an encounter, which means we take the top Wasteland card off of the encounter deck and we read it to see what it says. It says, you hear nothing but your own footsteps as you walk through the ruins. It's calm and quiet. So we have two options here. We can hack into an old register, which is an intelligence test of 3. Or we can search for useful equipment, which is perception and luck of 4, PL4. We do have perception. I think I'll go for 2. Yes, we will go for 2. Let's do option 2, take the test, and then we'll read it. That is apparently how you're supposed to do these encounters. You don't look at all the stuff below the options, you just read the options and what you're going to need to do, and then you can read all that stuff. If you're doing a multiplayer game, then another person is supposed to read that for you and just not talk about what you could get for each of those options. So we're going to play it like that, and we're going to take a PL4 test. We get 1 reroll. We need 4 points here, and we get 2. All right. Now, I could re-roll 1 die on the off chance that maybe I get a 2. Let's do that. Let's re-roll this and hope we get a 2 and then we pass. And we don't. It's still 0. It's only 2, so I fail. All right. So what happens if I fail? Searching for useful equipment. Fail. You're reading markings on the wall when something springs from the shadows. We have to draw and fight a creature. Okay. And it's a rad scorpion. All right, so it's time for yet another fight. Okay, well, more XP, but no loot. How does this fight pan out? Let's see. Weakness is limbs, basically. And we got no limbs. All right. We could just keep that, and in theory we would take no damage, and the rad scorpion would just run away. I think we'll just do that. We'll just do that. We already got messed up a lot. So let's just take this. Rad scorpion becomes inactive because we did not kill it. It did not damage us, though, which is great because we already took a decent amount of damage here. All right, so that did not end up as well as I would have hoped. We're gonna put this at the bottom of the encounter deck now, and that was what happened. All right, so now we draw another agenda card to see what activates. It is humanoid and monster. So the Deathclaw moves. Uh-oh. I have this tile upside down. Okay. Deathclaw moves to this tile here, and this humanoid enemy activates. That's a looter. A looter is in our space now. Okay. All right, so that's what happened during the agenda phase. It's time for another turn, so I think we're going to use one. We're going to keep heading towards Megaton now, and that means we're going to have to spend an entire move action to move into this difficult terrain. And then we will do an explore here, and we find the Super Duper Mart. And yet another humanoid enemy is at the Super Duper Mart. And it is a bounty hunter. Okay, so we are sandwiched here in the mountains between a bunch of stuff. Something could happen here. Let's see what it is. Draw the next agenda card. It's just humanoid. Okay, so that means we get shot by the bounty hunter and the looter advances and attacks. Cool, we get attacked twice. Okay. Oh, and this regulator would move onto this space as well. Alright, so let's start with the looter. We need to go for his legs. We could potentially get some loot from these. Both of these enemies do have a loot icon here. So we are almost certainly going to expend our tire iron, probably on the bounty hunter, because he's level 2. But first we'll start with the looter. And what we get is no legs. So I guess we get another draw. Looter does no damage to us. We do no damage to the looter. Nothing happens there. Alright. Well, let's roll for the bounty hunter then. What happens with that? Weakness is limbs. And we do get 1 legs. Well, we get 2 legs. And that is what we need to take him out. We need 2 hits. We would take 3 hits if we did this. I could exhaust the tire iron to re-roll to see if I could get a legs without damage. I don't know if I want to do that just yet. It's fine. So he hit us for 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. We're down to 8 now. And we did take him out, so we get 2 XP for that, which means we level up, and we get to draw from the loot deck. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so 1 point and another point means we go back to the start of the XP track. We level up. So we'll take 2 chips from here and see what we get. It's an A, which we already have, and a C. So I think we're going to select the C and also get the charisma attribute. Could have taken a perk with the A since we already have A, but let's get another letter going here. So there's that. And we get to draw from the loot deck. What do we get? We get a fistful of caps. All right, so that means we draw 3 more caps from the pile here. 1, 2, 3. So we got a grand total of 6 caps. Cool. All right, and we also get rid of this bounty hunter and replace him with an inactive humanoid. All right, and now it's our turn again. Cool. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a move. 1, 2. And we're going to do a camp action because we got messed up. So let's see. We will get 3 hit points back for camping. 1, 2, 3. Back to 11. All right. And we get the well-rested token for taking a rest. And that's our turn. So let's see what the agenda deck has for us this time. We get Star and Mutant. So the Mutant from the Mall moves onto the same space as the Deathclaw. And the Paladin moves onto the same space as the Regulator. And that's what happens there. Okay. Cool. So it's time for another turn. Well, I really should have moved. I should have moved to this space instead. We moved to that space instead. Okay. Because that puts us a little bit closer to Megaton. I guess what we should do is, first of all, just move to Megaton. 1, 2, boom. We are at Megaton. That means we have completed this first Welcome to the Capital Wasteland quest. Being at Megaton will advance the Brotherhood initiative by 1. So we get plus for the Star faction. And we place a shield on Project Purity. So an Enclave soldier is there now. And we get to draw from the loot deck twice. What do we get? 1, 2. Ooh, we get a pipe wrench. Okay, so that is a weapon. We get junk as well. We can put in the inventory. Wow, the pipe wrench really isn't that great. The tire iron is actually kind of better. Because this basically just gives us a reroll if we have strength, which we don't have. And on top of that, if you get a headshot with this pipe wrench, I guess you kind of destroy it and you have to throw it out. So it's a weapon and it grants you a reroll if you have strength, but it can potentially break. So we're going to keep this in the inventory and we're going to keep the tire iron equipped because all we have to do is exhaust that. We can potentially get, like I said, we can potentially get 2 rerolls if we get strength with this tire iron, but we also don't need strength to get a reroll. We can just exhaust it. So that's just better. Anyway, what else do we get? We stage 48 and 67, and we throw this one out. All right, so let's search for those cards to stage them. Search for 48. That is a shaky lead. And also 67 is Vault Rumors. Okay. So that's what we got staged. And we toss out Welcome to the Capital Wasteland. All right. So now that we're at Megaton, well, that's interesting. Okay, so I might as well read these cards first of all. These new things that we staged. 48 is a shaky lead. This is the next stage of like the main quest. The Enclave was long believed to be dead and gone, so their vertibirds soaring over the Capital Wasteland has set Megaton abuzz. You get a lead, but it's shaky. An intelligent super mutant appeared in the city around the same time. He spoke of a personal quest to ensure the safety and survival of all, then disappeared into the hills. So we have 2 choices. To help the Enclave is option 1, and that's just, again, go to the wreck, the vertibird wreck. To help the Brotherhood, we need to go to Vault 84, which means we're going to need to find where Vault 84 is. So, all right. That is our next destination, Vault 84, to help the Brotherhood. Vault Rumors, we could get another agenda card if we do this. And that's either just kill any humanoid or at any settlement spend 4 caps. Okay. Well, we could just do a settlement encounter. Let's just do a settlement encounter, and then we could potentially get a bunch of stuff all at the same time. All right. So, what's the top settlement encounter? It says, out of nowhere, a gray tabby cat races across your path. Ashes, a voice shouts. Ashes, come back. The cat trots forward for a few more feet, then turns around and stares at you. Option 1, ignore them both. Option 2, try to catch the cat. And that would be taking an AL4 test. Okay. So let's do... I mean, we do have agility. We do have agility. Let's try it. Let's try the test again. We'll do an AL4 test, and we'll see what happens. We'll try to catch the cat. All right, we need 4 points again. What do the dice give us this time? We only get 1 point. All right, we do get 1 reroll, though, so let's reroll these other 2 die and see if we can get at least 3 points. And we get 1 point, so we fail. We fail to catch the cat. And it says... You lurch toward the cat and it charges at you. It swipes at your hands and face, then darts off into the shadows. Your reward for your attempt at a good deed is a batch of bleeding scratches and a healthy dose of humiliation. Suffer 1 damage. Cool. That's great. And so we have to put this at the bottom of the encounter deck now. We may get another chance to catch that cat some other time. For now, that ended just as well as the last test did. Oh, maybe I should have ignored the cat, and I could have just gone shopping. Next time. All right, so that was our turn. We're gonna draw another agenda card. Time continues to march forward. We get a star and a robot. So, the star here, the paladin, moves 1 space closer to us. And there are no robots on the map presently. So, yeah, we don't do anything with that. We just move the star. Okay, cool. So, that is another turn over. We can start a new one. Let's do another settlement encounter. We'll start with yet another settlement encounter. What do we get this time? All right, it says several super mutants are being used as beasts of burden outside of town. Their masters are cruel, but the plots of Earth are ripe with well-tended crops. Option 1 is forced if you are a super mutant, and we are not, so we don't have to do that. Option 2, exploit the prosperity in the market. Or option 3, attempt to free the super mutants. SC4. Once again, we do have charisma, so we would get 1 reroll. But I think this time we should just exploit the prosperity in the market. That means we don't need to take a test. And it says the food surplus has left the local merchants feeling far less stingy. Okay. So... So now I think I know what this symbolism means. It says shop, settlement icon, +1. Megaton is a level 3. So I guess we can consider this to be level 4 now. And that means we can do 4 things as we shop. And we also gain 1 cap for each sold item. So we're going to take the top card off of the asset deck. And we now have a full-on shop of, let's see, we've got Radaway, we have Jet, we have Curie. So we are going to sell some things. We're definitely going to sell the pipe wrench. And when you sell something, that's 1 shop action, we get 1 less cap for the pipe wrench. So I'll put this in the asset. Well, actually, this was loot. Loot discard. We'll get 2 caps for that. Bringing us up to 8 caps. And that means we have just enough to actually buy... We can either buy a lab coat, which would be great, because we would have some armor. During a test that uses I, add 1 hit. Okay. So that would make intelligence tests a little bit easier to pass. The lab coat, it does count as 1 armor. It absorbs 1 damage. And drug items do not count against your inventory limit. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. Let's see. Or with 8 caps, we could buy a Rataway and a Jet at the same time. We could do that. There's also a Protectron and Curie. We cannot get either of those companions. To recruit companions, you have to sort of have the requirement in the upper right corner. We do not have intelligence, and we are also not idolized. So neither of these robots would want to follow us around. I kind of think the best move here is to spend... let's see, 4, 5, 6. We're going to spend 6 caps. And we're going to get a lab coat. Cool. We can equip that right now. And that also does the other requirement for Vault Rumors. We have spent more than 4 caps at a settlement. So we do get an agenda, and we get to stage 69. Okay. So we're going to take this card for the encounter and put it at the bottom of the settlement deck. That encounter is over with now. And we get an agenda card, and we stage 69. And we throw Vault Rumors out. Okay, so let's find 69. A very interesting number, 69. Crack it open. Okay. And we get an agenda. We'll draw the top card from the agenda deck. It is security again. Gosh darned it. Oh, we're trying to back the Brotherhood. No. Okay. Well, we have 2 influence because we have 2 agenda cards, so there's that. And we have stage 69, so we get rid of 67. We now have Crack It Open. And with Crack It Open, as I'll read it, it says, the information around town says that there are people locked away inside the vault, but they are somewhat very hostile to outsiders. Perhaps you can break in. Option 1, we can crack open the giant metal door in the mountains. We can just go to Vault 84 and pass an SE4 test. Or we can overload a nearby substation to force the door open. We can go to the Red Rocket Station and pass a PI4 test. Those are our 2 options to try and crack open Vault 84. Okay. So, with that in mind, after having done that encounter and gotten some... Well, we got some armor. That's kind of cool. That's something. And there it is. There's the timer. All right, folks. That means the first episode is over. We have reached Megaton. We have gotten a little bit closer to cracking open the vault. We have helped the Brotherhood. They still kind of hate us, though. This paladin is still looking for us. So, all right. That's the first episode. That was pretty cool. Expect some more episodes soon. And I'm going to see y'all later. Take care of each other. Take it easy. See y'all next time.